I bought this 1997 Nissan Hardbody at auction for just $1,100. In this video, we're going to be going over a mini restoration of this old beater farm truck and turning it into a reliable daily driver. If you watched part 1, we went over a lot of the details of this truck, and one of them was that it was last inspected over 5 years ago. I knew it needed tires no matter what, so first thing I did was get some Kenda Cleaver ATs. Only reason was that they were both cheap and available locally. Right after that, went ahead and sent it off to go get inspected. I expected a laundry list of items to pop up and for it to fail, but to my surprise, it actually passed. So I guess that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. But in reality, there's a lot of things that are still wrong with this truck and a lot of deferred maintenance that needs to be done before this is reliable. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about that in the test drive. As we can see, truck starts no problem. I don't think I can emphasize enough how much I love these hard body pickups. These things are dead nuts reliable, and there's just so little to go wrong. Now, I'm very happy that I've managed to get this thing to pass inspection with just tires. Now, that's a huge expense relatively to the purchase price, which is $1,100. So right now, sitting at about $1,600 just to have a running, driving, legal hard body pickup. That's a 4-cylinder, 4-wheel drive. So I can't really beat that today with any of these used truck prices or anything. There are, however, still some nagging issues that I've noticed just driving this truck around for a little bit. One is that the driver's side brake caliper is sticking a little bit. I can feel it actually dragging the car down when I'm driving, which is very annoying. And probably even what's most annoying is that I don't even know how fast I'm going. So I'm just kind of going by feeling here. This road right here is 55 miles an hour. Luckily there's no one behind me to complain. The suspension on this is pretty blown. It just bounces and wallows around corners. There's no real structure to it. It just does whatever it wants. Comfort wise, interior wise, this headliner is missing. You know, that's gonna get dealt with. You're supposed to be looking ahead, not up. Why would I ever look up? You know, it doesn't really bother me too much. I really do like, however, that the AC works. I can have windows up and I'm cool. At least my mom tells me I'm cool. Even this gear shift here, that's just this floppy spaghetti gear shift, it's just a wet noodle. The bushing inside is torn, it's destroyed, beat up. So there's really no structure to where I'm tossing the gears around. It's like a $3 bushing. I don't know how someone drove around like this before. I don't even know how I'm driving this around right now. Give it the beans. It may really need that tune-up. It seems a little slow. Now, this isn't gonna blow you away with power, but you know, maybe this engine's a little bit tired. I haven't done a compression test. I don't know. But I have a feeling that with the tune-up items, plugs, wires, get all the little basics done, I think we'll have this thing running like a top. Now, unfortunately, this engine does not sound as meaty as David's Cummins turbo diesel. This one just kind of just buzzes along. Going through the gears, it feels pretty good. There's not anything too worrying, no real crunchiness. It goes into all 5 gears and reverse. I do kind of sense a little bit of a floppiness when I do change gears kind of aggressively. So I wonder if there's like an engine mount or transmission mount that's bad. These seats aren't too bad. They're obviously, your driver's seat's a little bit torn. This truck has, when the odometer stopped running, 190,322 miles. I believe it. The gear shift is a little worn. The numbers are gone a little bit. You know, obviously brake pedal has still some wear on it, so it certainly looks like it's, you know, that's a real mileage. I don't think it has like 300,000 miles on it or anything. After all, the engine bay was very clean and very original. So I would have expected some more work done to it, or parts missing or something like that, if it had that many miles and someone was really abusing it. I'm very happy with this purchase so far, unless something explodes. But even then, again, not worried, because these trucks are simple to work on and parts are cheap. Parts have arrived and it's pretty much Christmas, except it's summertime and I paid for this all myself. But besides that, now that we have all the parts, we've got everything to make this reliable and safe and comfortable. So let's actually get to work on this and put this all in and see what kind of a difference this makes. In the engine bay, we can start off really easy, change out this air filter. I'm practically evicting this mouse out of here. Well, for this side of the engine bay, I've got new spark plugs, cap, rotor, and plug wires. The cap definitely has some scale on it. Because these hard bodies were also designed to fit a V6, it is wicked easy to change spark plugs on these KA engines. Everything is very accessible. Yeah, these bad boys are pretty old. Like this guy, electrode's pretty worn. And they all got pretty white crustiness on them. Good thing we're replacing them. Shiny. These are all numbered and it makes it super easy. Removing the speed sensor looked easy, but it was really stuck in there. I ended up having to use some persuasion. Ah! A nice solid click and it's in. It's time to change all the oils, starting with engine oil. Spilling on your valve cover is optional. Oh, Jesus. I made a mess with the transfer case, and then, of course, the transmission was overfilled, so I made a mess there as well. Some shavings to be expected, but it's kind of a lot on that side. It looks like, is that a chunk? Well, that looks like a flake, pretty big flake. Not the best, but not the worst. Redline MT90 is the go-to for any GL4 rated transmission with yellow metals like these hard bodies or any Nissan from that era. Kept the drain pan handy this time, but turns out didn't need it. Yeah, this drain plug is a little bit concerning. No idea what this guy is, and of course a ton of paste. Yeah, that might be a problem. This truck sat for so long, there's no telling how dirty the tank and filter are. It's easy to access and cheap, so it's getting replaced. Jesus. Alright, let's see how dirty this is. Pretty dirty. This line cracked pulling out the filter, so it's getting replaced. Of course, the screw stripped, so it's time for the nuclear option. Continuing underneath the truck, we can replace the old worn out shocks. This truck is so simple you don't even need to jack it up to replace the rears. We're installing some standard KYV shocks as this is just a daily driver, not a hardcore off-roader. It's interesting that the fronts are made in Japan, but the rears in Mexico. In the rear, the new shocks make a visible difference. However, in the front, the torsion bars are maxed out, making for a very bouncy ride, and the KYBs just aren't that stiff to tell side by side like this. On the road, however, there's a definite difference. Next up are the brakes. On the outside, these look fine. It's only when you're driving do you feel them dragging, with one side getting a lot hotter than the other. We're going to be replacing the rotors, pads, calipers, and lines to really freshen them up. Lines actually have small cracks visible when you bend them, so they're almost certainly original and due for replacement. These hard bodies use a captive rotor design, so that means the whole hub and rotor come off as one. Once removed, we can undo the bolts and separate them, which is easier said than done if your truck has any rust, which is true in this case. This bearing doesn't look too bad, so it's just getting cleaned up, repacked, and reinstalled. We can clean up everything on the outside, including these seals, and it's ready for the new rotor. I'm using a very liberal amount of anti-seize here for the next time this has to come apart. This just needs to get torqued down to spec, and then everything is just a reverse of disassembly. Only thing to note is to actually follow the wheel bearing preload adjustment in the factory service manual to not be too tight or too loose. And just like that, the new calipers are on. Here, I'm going to do a gravity bleed. It's a very simple way to do it by yourself if you don't have any help nearby or a power bleeder. I was right about this transmission mount being cracked and worn, so we can toss it out and toss in the new one. A little bit more has to come apart for the shifter bushing, and to replace that, it's just a lot easier to remove the carpet to undo the bolts holding down the shifter boot. Not a huge deal as these interiors are so simple, and nothing. No bushing to be found anywhere. New one just snaps on and fits right in. Now we're no longer a limp noodle. This drive shaft carrier bearing disintegrated on me, so that got replaced, along with these tension rod bushings, which are easy. Well, we're coming to just about 2 months of ownership, and in that time, I put on about 500 miles on this truck, and I don't really think I can ask for more. it does everything I ask of it to do, which is go to Home Depot, trash in the bed. I even put a dirt bike in the back, and it just works pretty well. There's no complaints. Big ticket item was definitely the tires. That's the largest expense on the truck. The rest is just deferred maintenance. A couple little things here and there that were fixed, right? A couple mounts, bushings, anything rubber really needed to be replaced. Around town, driving, highway, and all that mixed, I get between 16 and 18 miles a gallon. That's not really great, but you know, being the four-wheel drive version with a four-cylinder, with all the extra weight, and being that this has the aerodynamics of a brick, you know, that's definitely not going to help it. But you know, I can't really expect much more from a truck of this era or just of this price range, really. The new shocks that I've installed, the KYBs, are doing pretty well. They're not as firm as I'd like them to be. They're still a little soft, and unfortunately that just means I can still just feel a lot of bounciness. I did take a little bit of spring rate out of the front. Someone had tried to just jack up the front by cranking the torsion bars, just uncranked them a little bit, made it a little bit more normal, and that's definitely helped out the ride quality. Now the interior was relatively dirty, and as you can see, I never replaced the headliner. Besides that, everything else cleaned up relatively nicely. Everything was very muddy, dirty, dusty, but nowhere near as bad as my brother's Dodge. That was absolutely awful. The best part about having just small maintenance items that were due for this truck was that everything could be done in a progression. I didn't have to have this truck sit for a week as I was doing a major rebuild or anything crazy. If I want to do brakes, I just do brakes and then I keep driving it. Do spark plugs, just do that, then keep driving it. And that's the way how to do a project car. That way you can keep driving it, you have some sort of motivation, you remember what it was like to drive it, and it helps keep it from sitting. Once you put it up on jack stands, then that's kind of like a death sentence for a lot of project cars. So being able to just continuously drive it is very motivational and definitely helps with the success rate. And I certainly needed the truck to actually, you know, do stuff with and just drive it around, so worked out in my favor for that as well. Well, the numbers are in. Let's start purchase price, $1,100. Then the next biggest single expense were tires, $540. Next were all the maintenance items that you saw me work on. So this includes brakes, filters, fluids, shocks, struts, tune-up, and any other little things wrong. Added up to $614, which isn't too bad, I would say. Then registration, fees, titling, theft, all that stuff, about $125. So that puts us at a total of $2,379, which I think is really good considering the truck market and the amount of utility you get out of one of these. Of course, the amount of time and effort, right? Your time's worth something. So I put about 12 hours, I think, of actual just mechanical working time on this. Overall, I think this truck is a very good deal, and I would do it all over again if I could. If you made it this far in this video or you skipped ahead, feel free to subscribe. Also, drop a comment down below if you think this truck is even a good deal. I feel it's a good deal. Let me know if you think otherwise. Things that you would do differently or things that I should look for to do as well.